The broadcast didn't end normally, it stopped. Not faded out. Not cut to commercial. It stopped. Inside the control room, producers froze. One technician reportedly whispered a sentence no one expected to hear that night. Did she really just accuse her own mother? Because according to a leaked internal conversation tied to the mysterious disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, a shocking claim had just surfaced, and it came from somewhere no investigator was prepared for. Not a stranger, not a suspect hiding in the shadows, but from inside the family of Savannah Guthrie. Yes, you heard that right. A voice believed to be connected to Savannah Guthrie's daughter allegedly suggested something that instantly sent investigators, journalists, and the entire internet into meltdown. What if the person who knew the most about Nancy's disappearance was much closer to the news than anyone realized? Within minutes, whispers turned into rumors. Rumors turned into viral threads. And suddenly the question wasn't just, what happened to Nancy? The question became something far more disturbing. Why would a daughter even suggest her own mother was involved? Was this a misunderstanding? A private family conflict accidentally exposed? Or the beginning of a scandal so explosive that someone, somewhere, desperately hoped the public would never hear about it? Because if even a fraction of these allegations are true, this isn't just a missing person case anymore. It's a family bombshell waiting to explode. The moment that claim surfaced, the atmosphere around the case of Nancy Guthrie changed instantly. Up until that point, investigators believed they were dealing with a fairly typical missing person mystery. An elderly woman, a quiet neighborhood, a concerned family asking the public for help. It looked simple. Too simple. Because when the first internal notes from investigators began circulating among reporters, one detail kept appearing again and again, and it didn't make sense. Nancy's disappearance did not look random. In fact, one investigator allegedly described the situation in a single chilling sentence. Whoever did this didn't rush. They waited. And that line raised a question nobody had asked before. Waited for what? Nancy Guthrie was known in her community as someone who followed a very predictable routine. Neighbors said she walked the same path every morning, watered the same small garden in the afternoon, and turned off the porch light at exactly the same time every night. Predictable schedules are comforting, but in investigations, they can also be dangerous, because predictable people are easy to study. And according to early investigative notes, someone may have been studying Nancy for weeks before she vanished. A nearby security camera reportedly captured something strange nearly 3 weeks before the disappearance. A dark vehicle parked along the street, engine off, sitting quietly for nearly 40 minutes. At the time, nobody thought it mattered. Cars stop in neighborhoods all the time. But then another clip surfaced. Same street, different day, same vehicle. This time it stayed even longer. Investigators initially assumed it was just coincidence. Maybe a delivery driver taking a break. Maybe a visitor waiting for someone nearby. But the third clip made them reconsider. Because the car appeared again. Same angle, same location, same strange silence. One analyst reviewing the footage reportedly said something that made the room go quiet. This isn't random parking. This looks like surveillance. And suddenly the timeline started shifting. Instead of a sudden disappearance, investigators began looking at the possibility that someone had been carefully observing Nancy Guthrie long before the night she vanished. But surveillance alone doesn't make someone disappear. Planning does. Then the investigation took an even stranger turn. Digital forensic analysts reviewing Nancy's online activity noticed something unusual buried deep inside her account logs. Messages that had been opened at times when Nancy herself was unlikely to be online. Location pings that didn't match her known movements. Login alerts from devices investigators couldn't immediately identify. One cybersecurity consultant described the pattern like this. It looked like someone was reading her life in real time. Not hacking for money, not stealing accounts, just watching, learning, understanding. And when investigators placed the physical surveillance and the digital activity side by side, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Someone wasn't just watching Nancy Guthrie's house. Someone may have been watching her entire life. Which brings us back to the claim that sent the internet into chaos. Because when rumors began spreading that someone connected to Savannah Guthrie might know more than previously believed, online speculation exploded overnight. At first, it was just whispers on smaller forums. Then came the viral posts. Clips, screenshots, anonymous comments claiming there had been tension inside the family long before Nancy disappeared. Of course, none of that was verified. But in the world of viral internet mysteries, verification rarely slows anything down. Within hours, discussion threads started asking uncomfortable questions. Why had certain details about Nancy's final day changed slightly in different interviews? Why did some timelines seem to shift depending on who was speaking? And why were investigators suddenly reviewing earlier statements again? That last detail came from an alleged internal memo that briefly circulated among independent crime analysts online. The message was short, but it raised eyebrows immediately. Reevaluate all previously provided family statements for timeline consistency. That kind of instruction only appears when investigators suspect something isn't lining up. It doesn't automatically mean anyone lied, but it does mean the timeline might not be as clear as everyone thought. Meanwhile, attention returned to the strange vehicle scene in those earlier security clips. Investigators began reviewing footage from additional cameras throughout the neighborhood. What they found added another layer of mystery. The same car seemed to appear almost exclusively on weekends, not weekdays, weekends. And that detail caught the attention of behavioral analysts, because people who operate on weekends often share one thing in common. They have structured weekday schedules. In other words, they have jobs. That discovery shifted the focus away from random outsiders and toward individuals who might have legitimate reasons to be in the area. Delivery drivers, contractors, maintenance workers, visitors, people who could blend into the environment without attracting attention. One location quickly became part of the investigation, a construction site only a short distance from Nancy's home. At first glance, it had nothing to do with the case. But when investigators visited the site, they noticed something interesting. From the upper platforms of the unfinished structure, the view stretched across multiple nearby properties, including Nancy's house. One worker later told investigators something that immediately caught their attention. "You could see everything from up there," he reportedly said. "Who came in? Who left? What time lights turned on?" And the most unsettling part? No one would ever notice you watching. Suddenly, the possibility of long-term observation didn't sound so far-fetched anymore. Then came another discovery that complicated everything. A damaged home security system from a nearby property had stored a partially corrupted video file dated 3 weeks before the disappearance. At first, the clip looked useless. Grainy, distorted, barely visible. But when analysts enhanced the image, they noticed something standing near the edge of Nancy's property line. Not entering, not leaving, just standing there, watching. The figure remained for less than 30 seconds before disappearing out of frame. No clear face, no identifiable features, just a presence. Investigators couldn't determine who it was. But they did know one thing. That moment happened weeks before Nancy vanished, which raised a chilling possibility. What if the night Nancy Guthrie disappeared wasn't the beginning of the news? What if it was the final step of a plan that had been unfolding quietly for much longer than anyone realized? And as investigators continued piecing together digital records, surveillance footage, and conflicting timelines, one realization began spreading through investigative circles. The case might not be about a single night. It might be about everything that happened before that night. And somewhere inside that missing timeline, someone may already know the answer. AS investigators dug deeper into the digital records surrounding the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Something unexpected began happening outside the investigation. The internet got involved. And when the internet gets involved in a mystery, things rarely stay quiet for long. At first, it started with a single screenshot posted anonymously on Reddit. No explanation, no verified source, just a blurred image of what appeared to be a transcript from an internal conversation. The first line of that transcript read, "She knows more than she is saying." Within minutes, the screenshot was reposted on X, dissected in long threads, and clipped into short commentary videos on TikTok. True crime creators began analyzing every word, every pause, every possible implication. But the real explosion happened when a second file surfaced. This one wasn't a screenshot. It was audio, only 9 seconds long, distorted, partially muffled, but still clear enough to trigger chaos across the internet. In the clip, a voice, believed by online investigators to belong to someone connected to Savannah Guthrie's family, appeared to say something chilling. If she's involved in this, then she knows exactly what happened to Nancy. That single sentence ignited a wildfire of speculation, because suddenly the narrative that had been forming around Nancy Guthrie's disappearance took a completely different direction. Up until that moment, the public believed investigators were searching for a stranger, a random suspect, someone lurking outside the family circle.
But now
the internet was asking a very authentic to be fabricated. And while the public argued online, something else quietly changed behind the scenes. Investigators stopped describing the situation internally as a missing person case. Instead, new reports reportedly began using a different phrase: controlled disappearance scenario. That phrase might sound subtle, but in investigative language, it carries serious implications, because a controlled disappearance suggests something very specific: planning, preparation, timing. Someone didn't simply react in the moment. Someone prepared for it, around the same time, and that statement quickly caught attention inside investigative circles. Because if the timeline doesn't agree with itself, there are only a few possible explanations. Someone remembered something incorrectly. Someone deliberately changed their account of events.
or
Someone was manipulating the timeline. Around this point, another leak began circulating online, this time allegedly pulled from a forensic review note connected to the case. The document included a phrase that immediately sent speculation into overdrive. Subject A appear metadata during restricted time frame. To most people, that sentence sounded like technical jargon. But digital forensic experts immediately recognized its meaning. Proximity metadata refers to devices that appear near each other within recorded digital signals, Wi-Fi connections, Bluetooth interactions, location pings. And restricted time frame? That's investigative language for a window of time considered critical to the case. Settling part: that device allegedly belonged to someone who had already been cleared earlier in the investigation, which meant one uncomfortable possibility suddenly appeared. What if someone investigators trusted had unknowingly or knowingly been present at a moment that mattered far more than anyone realized? That possibility instantly reignited online debates. Some commentators argued investigators were simply rechecking data as part of routine procedure. Others believed the leaks suggested something far more complicated. One viral thread that gained